Hey everybody, it's Ben Blackman with One Focus Marketing. Thank you so much for joining me today. The next video and blog post in the series about over 40 and overwhelmed about entrepreneurship. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes because I know how valuable your time is. So we're going to talk about approval today. And by the way, just real quick, I tried to record this video several times and have the blog post up a lot sooner, but every time I scheduled it, it started to rain. And so I was kind of wondering if I was supposed to do a video at all. And then today when I was trying to do it, my computer was having issues. So I spent a lot of time today trying to get that sorted out so I could go ahead and record. Anyway, that being said, that's really a good sort of a metaphor or simile for being an entrepreneur. Even though that we may have our obstacles, we persist and we move forward. And that's what a professional entrepreneur does. We move forward. And done is better than perfect. If you're waiting for the timing to be perfect, you're waiting for your product to be perfect, you're waiting for your website to be perfect, whatever it is, it's probably never going to be perfect. It's better to have it pretty good and get it out there than to have it perfect and not done at all. Because that's what happens. So anyway, approval that we're going to be talking about is not the whole thing about being needy or being codependent or something like that. That's not really where I'm going with that. What I mean is that as entrepreneurs, we do need to feel like that we have some validation there and that somebody has our back. That we have a group or we have people we can talk to and kind of bounce ideas off of and get those kinds of things from. But that all being said, the first set of people we want to try to go to with this to talk to about is, of course, friends and family. We really need that at least to get that out there so they know what we're doing and what we're thinking. And I go over it in detail in the blog post, but one of the things that you want to try to do here is show them that you want to be a professional entrepreneur, not an amateur. There is a great book by a guy named Steven Pressfield, and I have it in the blog post, a couple of links to Amazon, I think, and he's written several books, and one of them was The Legend of Bagger Vance, which I don't know if you've seen the movie or not, but one of the books that's really good is called Turning Pro, and there's another one that he wrote, it's called The War of Art. I think The War of Art actually came out first, but either way. And what he does is he just identifies the traits between what a professional does versus what an amateur does. And to give you an idea, it's not a very long book, okay? It's just not. But one of the things that he says is, just as an example, is an amateur tweets, a professional works. That's just the way that it is. And I'm not saying you shouldn't use Twitter. That's not really where I'm going with that. I'm just saying, hey, if you're sitting there fooling around with Twitter when you should be working, then you're not a professional, you're an amateur. That's just the way that it goes. Now, we all fall down the rabbit hole from time to time with various things, but professional picks themselves up quickly and moves forward. But you really should read those books. It'll give you some clarity on that. So let's just talk about when you're going to talk to your family or friends. You want to express your vision. Remember in the last post I talked about developing clarity in exactly what your intention is and understanding exactly what you're going to do. Once you have that, you want to express that vision, that clarity with enthusiasm to your friends and family. You don't want to do it like you're giving a eulogy. Okay, you want to make sure it's reasonably exciting, because if you're not excited about it, they're not going to be excited about it. Now, don't expect them to jump up and down and get all fired up and get just all glassy-eyed and just oh my gosh, and not see all the potential, because as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. We see all this potential out there, but a lot of people don't, and that's okay. So don't expect that from them like you might do, but just know that if you don't express it, you're a clear vision, then they're not going to have that either. And then you'll deal with whatever their reaction is at that point. Most of the time, not all the time, and there's all variances between kind of reactions you're going to get, but a lot of the time people tend to get the supportive but kind of cynical or skeptical response. They're outwardly, the people say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, or oh, okay, that's good, but then they might say, well, what? That's great, but you know what? It's the holidays. Maybe we should put it off until after then. So that's kind of things that you might run across. And And that's okay if that's what you do. At least you got it out there and they know what's going on. And if you have a time frame, if you can give them a time frame of what your intention is, that's really going to be beneficial to them. You could even post a calendar up in your household so that they know what's coming. All right, this is what you're going to do. But if you don't have a time frame, how do you know what you're going to do? You just, I mean, what are you waiting for? That's the question. So how are you going to know when you're ready? So I highly suggest doing that. Now the question comes up, well, what if they shun you? Well, that could happen. You always hear those stories though, because those stories tend to be the most inspiring. People really don't get quite as inspired when they find out that their friends and that somebody's friends and family really supported them through the whole thing and there was never an issue. But the people who were, kind of outcast because of it, then you hear about that quite a bit. And that's because the fewest number of people, that's what actually happens. So we just hear about those the most. So if they do shun you, that's fine. What you're going to need to do is find supportive groups. So you may want to find a meetup group in your local area. I go to one, not because my family's not supportive, but because, it's really good to be around other entrepreneurs. You can get on some Facebook groups, find other entrepreneurs that are supportive of your, having your own business just in general. And then you need to communicate with them. You need to reach out to them. You need to reach out to individuals, read some posts and so forth and find ones that you resonate with and you need to contact them directly. It's okay if they don't want to talk to you. It doesn't matter. Okay. Actually, the SW principle applies. I actually posted that in a Facebook group the other day and people really liked it. But what it means is some will, some won't, so what? Someone's waiting. And I've carried that with me for many years, and it's true. I mean, it just doesn't matter. If somebody doesn't want to, talk back to you or give you feedback or communicate, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Somebody does. And you just need to find those people. So when you do that, you could also start a mastermind group. I did this myself because I wanted to be in a mastermind group, but I could never seem to find one. It was real difficult. And I would see people, say they wanted to be in one, and occasionally I would see people, like in Facebook, post that they were going to start one or something, and I would either see that too late or, I don't know. And then in the past, I've been in other mastermind groups where I just didn't, it just didn't work out. Either they were overtly negative or there was just no point. It never went anywhere. I could never understand what our point was, and it was taking up a lot of time. So I decided to start my own. And while it's far from perfect, I came up with a set of guidelines which I actually used from another entrepreneur, and I give her credit for that. I actually put that in the guidelines when I wrote them out. I gave her full credit for these guidelines and so forth. There's not much to them really, but I put it together, this thing on how to start a mastermind group. So if you want that, you go to the blog post. There'll be a link in there where you can, I'll send you the stuff on what I used and how I started the mastermind group. But really all I did was post in some Facebook groups that I was starting one, and a lot of people responded and just whittled it down from there. Just let me tell you, the 80-20 rule applies there. All right, so you get 100 people respond, only 20 will end up communicating with you a second time, and then after that, you're probably going to end up with about 4. So it's something like that. That's the way it goes. People have great intentions, they just don't have great follow-through. And again, that's professional versus amateur. Professional has great follow-through. Amateur does not. All right. The other thing is the last thing I really wanted to mention to you is to don't quit or come up with reasons not to do this. You got it. You've got this. You can do it. All right. Do not come up with a whole list of reasons. We all have those reasons. All right. And if you want to stay where you are in life, that's fine. I respect that, but I want to see you succeed, and I want you to really benefit from becoming an entrepreneur. There's just so much good that comes from it. It's not perfect. At least it's not perfect for me all the time, but it's really been incredible, the journey that I've been on this time. And as most of you know, this is really my second or third round really being an entrepreneur. And I have no idea why I stopped intermittently to not be one. But maybe the reason I stopped and went back to the corporate world was so I could maybe convey this message to people who wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't know. So find a group of people. If your friends or family aren't supportive, find groups that are, okay, and talk to them. And that is very important, like I said in the beginning. So up next, I'm just going to talk a little bit about which business you should start and what do you really need to get started. What items do you have to get together and that kind of thing. And a lot of it will depend on the type of business that you start, and that's okay. I'm going to go over very general stuff and then hopefully try to give you some ideas on how to clarify what type of business you're going to get into. And so once we do that, then I put that together, I'll post it up, and I'll have the video ready soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you later.